Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Anna Manning, and this episode today is going to be a really, really short episode. So I'm on the road, I'm not at home, and I'm just using my phone to record this episode for you. First thing I want to tell you is that the Doors for the Confident at Work program, that is like the flagship program that I take people through in order to grow their confidence, is open for our April 2023 group. I'll leave a link in the show notes if you want to check that out. Book a call with me to talk about joining. Then you are welcome. Everyone from the podcast is invited and welcome. And that's first. But today, we're going to be talking about how you might inadvertently be damaging your own confidence. So something that I coach on a lot is people wanting to get more feedback from their boss, from seniors, from people that they work with. And whilst I think sometimes that is a noble endeavor, so people want feedback, I'm willing to hear feedback, I want to learn, etc. Great. But there's a point at which we want feedback, not really for learning purposes, but just to be told, yes, you are doing a good job. And the problem that I often see with clients is they come and say to me, my confidence isn't as high as I want it to be. And one of the solutions that I think I need is that I need my boss to give me more feedback. So I'm like, okay, and we usually explore that. Now, sometimes someone might have a boss who is willing to give them more feedback, and if so, that's great. Most of the time, what we're working with is somebody who's already fairly senior themselves, and their boss probably hasn't got time to be giving them feedback for everything all day. So the person is slightly stuck. When they think, I'm not feeling as confident as I want about what I'm doing here. And usually it's something like, I don't know if I'm doing a good enough job. I'm not really sure if I'm getting it right. It's some take on that. But I think the solution is to have my boss tell me to give me feedback that I am doing a good job and subtext, and then I will believe that I am. But I started out by saying that most of the time you can't actually get that feedback. Or if you do, it's probably occasional. So if this is you, and if you're thinking, well, I don't really know if I'm doing a good job, or actually sometimes the thought behind that is just plain, I don't think I'm doing a good job, like I'm not doing a good job or I'm not doing a good enough job. But actually, there's no evidence that you're not doing a good enough job. People seem okay. You haven't had complaints. You haven't really had an awful lot of anything. And you think the solution is my boss needs to tell me I'm doing a good job and then I'll believe it. When I coach people around this, what we often find is that solution isn't really going to cut it. One, because your boss can't reassure you if you kind of can't be reassured. So sometimes this thought is really sneaky. It's like, oh, if my boss were to just tell me that I'm doing a good job, I would believe it. If she would tell me, I would believe her. And then my confidence would improve. I would think that I am doing a good job. But for some people, it doesn't matter how many pieces of good feedback they get, they will kind of discount that good feedback. And they will really only hang on to or pay attention to the feedback or like the evidence that they see that maybe they aren't doing a good job. So literally the blinkers will be on for any good feedback or anything that, gives them evidence that they are doing well. They're literally not looking at that or they can't see it. But anything that could suggest that they're not doing or they think is evidence for the fact they're not doing very well, they will like see that in as if they've got binoculars on, right? That'll be really clear and obvious. But the other way in which this is sneaky and a problem is that, and I explain this sometimes to people by using the analogy of your confidence being like a wall. So imagine a stone wall or a brick wall, and the wall's all built up, and that is your confidence when it's kind of solid, it's intact. You know, you could knock against the wall and it's not going to fall down. But what's happening with a lot of my clients is that the amount of self-doubt that they hear in their brain, that they believe, like, you're not very good at your job, you're not doing a good job, what do people think of you, you shouldn't be here, like all of that imposter stuff, all of the doubt, it literally is taking a mallet to the wall and hitting the wall every single day. So eventually the stone or the brick starts to fall out of the wall becomes unstable, right? Remember, the wall is confidence. And then the wall ends up falling onto the floor. So by the time I'm coaching with someone, usually the wall's on the floor and they're saying to me, do you know what I think would help if my boss were to put a stone in that wall? And that is, if my boss were to give me a bit of feedback, that would help to rebuild my confidence. That would put a stone back in the wall. But you see how sneaky this thought is? Because one, your boss doesn't have the kind of same focus or energy attached to their wall building for you as you have attached to bashing the wall down every day. So almost like if they gave you one good piece of feedback a week, that's still not going to be good enough to rebuild the wall, to make your confidence firm and solid again when you're hitting it with a mallet every single day with thoughts like, I don't know what I'm doing here, am I doing a good job, I'm failing, all of that. That wall is never going to be, the wall of your confidence is never going to be sturdy and solid while all of that self-doubt is happening. I hope that's helpful. And if you feel kind of, I don't know, like if you feel like this is me getting at you or kind of calling you out, I really don't want it to be like that. I hope it doesn't sound like that. I know this could sound really harsh, but I need to share it because it's what I see when I'm working with people. And I know that not everybody listening to this podcast is ever going to work with me. And I want to share this stuff that I learn from coaching people on these issues again and again and again. And what I learn is that the wall of your confidence is never going to be sturdy and secure while you're experiencing so much self-doubt. You're literally taking a mallet to it every day and hitting it. And the fact that your boss comes along once in a while and puts a brick in the wall is just not going to rebuild your confidence. And it's not going to make it sturdy and it's not going to make it solid. And that's what you want. I hope that was helpful. I know this is a quick episode, but again, I'm going to say this. The Confident at Work program is open and we're taking bookings now for the April group. This is the kind of stuff that we work on day in, day out for 6 months in Confident at Work. And yes, we have a lot of success. You can get to a point where you don't experience self-doubt, and the self-doubt that you do experience, you know how to handle. It doesn't floor you anymore. It doesn't take a mallet to your confidence. It might knock into the wall every now and then, but it doesn't destroy it. If that sounds like the kind of help and support you need, come and join us in the program. And I will see you in the next episode.